The first time Vincent Romano truly looked at Maya Bennett, it was after he had already broken her in front of an entire rooftop full of millionaires. Seattle glittered beneath them like a city made of wet diamonds. Rain slid down the glass walls of the restaurant, turning the skyline into streaks of silver and blue. Champagne towers sparkled under crystal lights. A violinist played near the terrace doors. Men in black suits stood at every exit, silent, armed, and loyal to the most feared man in the Pacific Northwest. Vincent sat at the center table in a black tailored suit, his hand resting beside a glass of untouched whiskey. His beautiful fiancée, Celeste D'Amico, leaned against his shoulder with the kind of smile that belonged on magazine covers and wanted posters. And Maya stood before them in a fitted black hostess uniform that felt suddenly too tight, too cheap, too visible. Her face burned. Every guest was staring. Celeste's laugh floated across the table like perfume laced with poison. "Poor thing," Celeste said softly, just loud enough for everyone to hear. She really thought the Mafia Boss wanted her attention. A few people laughed. Maya's fingers tightened around her phone. She had tried to warn him quietly. She had stepped close to his table with shaking hands and whispered that his life was in danger. She had risked her job, her safety, maybe her life. And Vincent Romano had looked up at her with eyes colder than the rain. "Don't bring your little fantasies to my table," he said. The words landed harder than a slap. Maya felt every cruel glance in the room. The socialites who had mocked her smile all night, the businessmen who treated her like furniture, the waiters who looked away because rent was due and everyone needed their jobs. Even Vincent's bodyguards watched her like she was a problem to be removed. Something inside her cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough. Maya turned toward the restaurant's private sound panel near the service station. Her manager called her name in a sharp whisper, but she did not stop. Her hands moved before fear could freeze them. She connected her phone. A second later, Celeste's voice filled the entire rooftop. "He'll be dead before the wedding." The violin stopped. Every champagne glass froze halfway to someone's mouth. Celeste's smile vanished. On the recording, she laughed again, cruel and bright. "Vincent trusts the engagement contract. He thinks my father wants peace. By the time they realize the transfer papers are fake, Elias will already control the inheritance. And my son will inherit what Romano blood was too stupid to protect." The rooftop became silent enough to hear the rain. Maya turned slowly. Vincent Romano was no longer looking at her like she was invisible. He was looking at her like she had just pulled a blade from his chest and shown him the name carved into the handle. Celeste whispered, "Vincent." But Vincent did not look at his fiancée. He looked only at Maya. And for the first time that night, the most dangerous man in Seattle looked afraid. Not for himself, for what was about to happen to the woman who had exposed the truth 6 hours earlier. Maya Bennett had been standing in front of the same rooftop restaurant mirror, trying to convince herself that her uniform did not make her look ridiculous. The black dress was expensive enough to seem elegant on the hanger, but on her body, it clung in places she wished it would not. The restaurant had ordered every hostess the same size range, as if women came in only 3 shapes: tiny, smaller, and acceptable. Maya had learned how to pull the seams, pin the waist, and move carefully so the fabric did not ride up when she walked guests to their tables. She adjusted the gold name tag pinned over her chest. Maya. Simple. Polite. Easy to forget. Outside the employee restroom, the kitchen roared with heat and voices. Plates clattered. Chefs shouted. The elevator chimed as another wave of wealthy guests arrived for Vincent Romano's engagement dinner. Everyone knew who he was, even people who pretended not to. Vincent Romano owned nightclubs, construction firms, shipping warehouses, private security companies, and half the silence in Seattle. People said his family had started with fish markets and ended with politicians. People said he could make a man disappear between one breath and the next. People said he never raised his voice because he had never needed to. Maya had never met him, but she had seen what his name did to people. Her manager, Greg, had spent the entire afternoon sweating through his collar. "No mistakes tonight," he told the staff. "No spills. No attitude. No staring. If Mr. Romano asks for the moon, you bring him the moon on a chilled plate." Maya had nodded like everyone else. She needed this job. Her mother's medical bills did not care that rich women laughed at her hips. Rent did not care that men at table 12 snapped their fingers at her instead of saying her name. Her younger cousin Lily, who slept on Maya's couch 3 nights a week because her own home had become too chaotic, did not care how humiliating the job was as long as Maya could keep the lights on. So Maya smiled. She smiled when a tech investor asked if the restaurant had a more photogenic hostess. She smiled when a woman in diamonds looked her up and down and said, "At least they're hiring for personality now." She smiled when Greg hissed, "Stand straighter. Maya, try to look more upscale." But every smile cost something. By 7 o'clock, the rooftop had transformed into a private kingdom. White orchids covered the tables. Candlelight flickered against rain-dark glass. A long black carpet led from the elevator to the central dining area. Security men in dark suits lined the perimeter with earpieces and watchful eyes. Then Vincent Romano arrived. The room changed before Maya even saw him. Conversation thinned. Men stood taller. Women touched their hair. The restaurant's owner hurried forward with both hands clasped, as if greeting royalty or death. Vincent stepped out of the private elevator with 4 men behind him. He was taller than Maya expected, not just physically. Though he was broad-shouldered and imposing in a way that made the air feel narrower around him. It was the stillness, the control, the complete absence of need. His black suit fit him like armor. His dark hair was combed back. His jaw shadowed. His expression unreadable. A hint of tattoo ink disappeared beneath his white cuff when he adjusted his watch. Beside him walked Celeste D'Amico. She was breathtaking. That was the worst part. Celeste had the kind of beauty that made cruelty look expensive. Long dark hair, red lips, a white silk dress that flowed over her body like water. A diamond engagement ring flashed on her finger, large enough to catch every jealous eye in the room. Maya stood at the host station with the reservation tablet pressed to her stomach. "Mr. Romano," she said, voice steady despite the pulse in her throat. "Welcome to Altura. Your table is ready." Vincent's gaze moved to her. For one dangerous second, the noise around them faded. His eyes were dark gray, not warm, not kind, but sharp enough to make Maya feel as if he saw the parts of her she usually tried to hide. The tiredness beneath her makeup, the pin digging into her waist, the way her hand tightened around the tablet. Then his gaze moved away. "Lead the way," he said. His voice was calm, deep, controlled. Maya walked them across the rooftop, feeling Celeste's eyes on her back. "Coot," Celeste murmured. "They let the help play hostess here." Maya did not react. She had learned long ago that rich people loved 2 things: being served and being offended when the people serving them had feelings. Vincent said nothing. That silence stung more than the insult. At the table, Maya placed the menus with perfect precision. She explained the private chef's tasting menu, the wine pairing, the engagement dessert service. Vincent listened without expression. Celeste looked bored. When Maya finished, Celeste lifted her glass. "Careful tonight," she said. "I'd hate for you to drop something just because you're nervous around important people." Maya met her eyes. For half a second, she imagined saying everything she had swallowed for years. Instead, she smiled. Of course. Ma'am. She turned away before Celeste could see the hurt. By 8:30, the dinner was running smoothly. Too smoothly. That was what Maya would remember later. The unnatural perfection of it, the orchids, the music, the rain. The way Celeste kept touching Vincent's arm while he barely touched her back. Maya was checking table placements near the hallway when she saw Celeste leave the dining area. The fiancé moved alone toward the women's restroom. Phone pressed to her ear. Her smile gone. Maya would have ignored it. She should have ignored it. But as she passed the half-open restroom door, carrying a stack of fresh linen napkins, she heard Vincent's name. Not spoken with love. Spoken like a target. Maya slowed. Celeste's voice echoed against marble. No. Elias. Listen to me. He doesn't suspect anything. Maya froze. The hallway was empty except for the muffled sound of rain and music. Celeste laughed. Vincent will be dead before the wedding. I'll make sure the signing happens tonight. Once he transfers control of the Romano Trust, my father gets his peace treaty. You get the ports. And our son gets the inheritance. Maya's blood went cold. She looked down at the napkins in her arms. Leave. Her mind screamed. This is not your world. Then Celeste said, the hostess. No one will listen to her even if she hears something. Did you see her? She looks like she apologizes when people step on her. Maya's breath caught. The insult should not have mattered. The murder should have mattered. But somehow, hearing how easily Celeste dismissed her made Maya's hand move. She slipped her phone from her pocket, opened the recording app, and held it against the folded napkins. Celeste continued speaking. The kitchen entrance is covered. Marco will switch Vincent's security detail after dessert. The toast is the signal. If he doesn't drink, use the terrace. I don't care how messy it gets. A pause. Then Celeste's voice softened in a way that made Maya's skin crawl. No, he doesn't love me. Men like Vincent don't love. They possess. And by tomorrow, I'll possess everything he bled for. Maya backed away. Heart hammering. She had proof. She also had no idea what to do with it. Calling the police felt laughable. Half the men at Vincent's table probably owned judges. Telling her manager would only get her fired before dessert. Going directly to Vincent meant stepping into a world that swallowed ordinary women whole. But if she did nothing, a man would die, a dangerous man. Yes, a cold man who had ignored Celeste's cruelty, but still a man. Maya returned to the service station with shaking hands. She replayed 5 seconds of the recording through her earbud, just to make sure she had heard correctly. Vincent will be dead before the wedding. Her stomach turned. She looked across the room. Vincent sat at the center table, surrounded by powerful men pretending not to fear him. Celeste had returned to his side, smiling again. She leaned close and whispered something. Vincent did not smile back. For a strange moment, Maya wondered if he was lonely. Then she hated herself for wondering anything soft about him. She waited until Celeste stood to greet 2 late-arriving guests. Then Maya crossed the rooftop. Each step felt like stepping onto thinner ice. One of Vincent's bodyguards blocked her before she reached the table. Service staff stays back unless called. Maya swallowed. I need to speak with Mr. Romano. Vincent heard her. His gaze lifted. The bodyguard looked to him for permission. Vincent gave the smallest nod. Maya stepped forward, aware of every eye turning toward her. The rich loved a disturbance when they were not the ones bleeding. She leaned slightly toward him, lowering her voice. Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I heard something you need to know. It's about Miss D'Amico. Vincent's expression did not change. What did you hear? Maya glanced toward Celeste, who was still across the room. Not here, Maya whispered. Please. It's serious. Vincent leaned back in his chair. Around him, conversations dimmed. His voice remained calm. Everything serious can be said in front of me. Maya felt trapped. Your life may be in danger. That got his attention. Not enough to alarm him. Enough to sharpen him. Before he could answer, Celeste returned. What's this? She asked, sliding her hand onto Vincent's shoulder. Did we forget a reservation? Maya's mouth went dry. I need to speak with him privately. Celeste's eyes flashed. Then she laughed. Oh, sweetheart. The word was sugar over broken glass. Vincent watched Maya. Something unreadable moved behind his eyes. Suspicion. Perhaps. Irritation. Maybe the reflex of a man who had survived too many traps to trust a trembling stranger. Who sent you? He asked quietly. Maya blinked. No one. Reporter. No. Maiko. Rival. No. Then why are you standing at my table during my engagement dinner, whispering about danger? Maya felt the room closing around her. Because I recorded Celeste cut in. Recorded Vincent. This is absurd. A few guests leaned closer. Maya realized too late how it looked. A plus-size hostess in a tight uniform. A powerful man. A jalouse fiancé. A dramatic claim. A phone in her shaking hand. Vincent's gaze hardened. Don't bring your little fantasies to my table. The rooftop went silent. Maya stared at him. She could have handled Celeste's cruelty. She had expected that. But Vincent's words were different, because for 1 second, she had believed he might listen. Celeste laughed. Covering her mouth with delicate fingers, Maya looked around the rooftop. At the guests smirking, at Greg's horrified face, at the waitstaff pretending to adjust plates, at Vincent's men waiting for an order. Her humiliation rose hot and sharp. But beneath it came something stronger. Anger. Clean. Bright. Terrifying. Maya straightened. My mistake, she said. Vincent's eyes narrowed slightly, as if her tone surprised him. Maya turned away. Greg rushed toward her. Maya. What the hell are you doing? She did not answer. She walked to the sound panel. The restaurant used a wireless system for speeches, music, private events. Maya had connected phones for birthday playlists, corporate announcements, anniversary videos. Her hands knew what to do. Maya. Greg hissed. Stop. She tapped the screen. Connected. For half a heartbeat. Nothing happened. Then Celeste's voice spilled from every hidden speaker. He'll be dead before the wedding. The world stopped. Maya did not move as the recording played. Every word landed like a bullet. Elias. The fake transfer. The inheritance. The son. The kitchen entrance. Marco switching security. The toast as the signal. Celeste stood frozen beside Vincent, her skin draining of color beneath perfect makeup. Vincent rose slowly. No chair scrape. No sudden rage. Just a controlled, lethal movement that changed the temperature of the room. When the recording ended, the silence was unbearable. Celeste recovered first. She fabricated that. She said, Vincent, look at her. She's obsessed with you. She probably used some voice software. Maya almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because even facing exposure, Celeste still reached for the easiest weapon. Make Maya look pathetic. Make Maya look unstable. Make Maya look invisible again. Vincent said nothing. His eyes moved from Celeste to Maya, then to the bodyguard standing near the terrace doors. Marco, he said. The man flinched. It was small, Almost nothing. But Vincent saw it. So did Maya. Marco's hand moved toward his jacket. Vincent's nearest guard drew first. Chaos erupted. A woman screamed. Glass shattered. Guests ducked beneath tables as Vincent's men surged around him. Marco backed toward the terrace, gun half raised. But Vincent crossed the distance with terrifying speed. He caught Marco's wrist, twisted, and slammed him against the glass wall hard enough to crack it. Maya stumbled back. Celeste moved. Not toward Vincent, toward Maya. Her diamond ring flashed as she grabbed Maya's wrist. Nails biting into skin. You stupid little nobody, Celeste whispered. You have no idea what you just did. Maya tried to pull free. Vincent turned. His eyes locked on Celeste's hand around Maya. Something dark crossed his face. Let her go. Celeste smiled, but fear trembled at the edges. Vincent. Darling, I said. He murmured. Let her go. Celeste released Maya. Before anyone could move, the lights went out. The rooftop plunged into darkness. Screams exploded from every side. Emergency lights flickered red along the floor. Through the glass, black shapes moved on the neighboring roof. Vincent's hand closed around Maya's arm. Not cruelly. Not gently either. Possessively. He pulled her behind him just as gunfire cracked against the terrace glass. The windows burst inward. Maya screamed as glittering shards rained across the floor. Vincent shoved her down behind the overturned table and covered her with his body. For one breath, she was trapped beneath the weight of him, surrounded by the scent of smoke, whiskey, rain, and expensive wool. His arm braced beside her head. His face was inches from hers. He looked furious. Not frightened. Furious. Are you hit? He asked. Maya could barely hear him over the gunfire. No. His gaze dropped to her mouth, then snapped back to her eyes. Stay down. I wasn't planning to dance. For some insane reason, his expression changed. Almost amusement. Then another round slammed into the glass, and the moment vanished. His men returned fire. Guests sobbed beneath tables. Celeste disappeared into the dark. Swallowed by panic or planning, Maya clutched her phone against her chest, the recording still glowing on the screen. Vincent glanced at it. Do you have a backup? Maya stared at him. That's your first question. It is the question keeping you alive. The honesty chilled her. A bodyguard crouched beside them. Boss. Service stairwell. Now. Vincent grabbed Maya's hand. She resisted. I'm not going with you. His eyes cut to hers. Maya Bennett. Every person who wants me dead now knows your name, your face, and the sound of your voice. You are coming with me. How do you know my last name? His jaw tightened. Your name tag and your employment file. You checked my employment file, I own the building. Of course he did. Before she could answer, he pulled her toward the service stairwell. They moved through smoke and screams, down a narrow corridor lit by emergency red. Maya's feet slipped once. Vincent caught her without looking back. His grip was firm, warm, impossible to escape. At the kitchen entrance, two men waited, not restaurant staff. Their guns rose. Vincent pushed Maya behind a steel prep counter as shots cracked through the kitchen. Plates exploded. Steam hissed. A chef shouted and crawled behind a freezer door. Vincent moved with controlled brutality. No wasted motion. No panic. He took a gun from one of his men, fired twice, and the attackers dropped out of view. Maya pressed a hand over her mouth. She had known he was dangerous. Knowing and seeing were different things. Vincent turned back to her. There was blood on his cuff, though she could not tell if it was his. You're shaking, he said. You're killing people in the soup station. They were trying to kill you. They were trying to kill you. His gaze held hers. Not anymore. The words should have horrified her. They did. But beneath the horror was something worse. Safety. A black SUV waited in the service alley with its engine running. Rain hammered the pavement. Vincent pushed Maya inside, slid in after her, and slammed the door. The vehicle shot into the night. Seattle blurred past in streaks of neon and rainwater. Maya sat rigid, clutching her phone. Vincent sat beside her, speaking into his own phone in a low, lethal voice. Lock down the restaurant. Find Celeste. Bring Marco alive if he breathes. Freeze every D'Amico account connected to the trust. And someone find out who Elias is before I tear apart every port on the coast. He ended the call. Silence filled the SUV. Maya stared out the window. Her wrist still burned where Celeste had grabbed her. Vincent noticed. His eyes lowered to the red marks on her skin. His jaw flexed. I owe you an apology, he said. Maya laughed once. Bitterly. No. You owe me my job, my safety, my dignity, and probably a new life. His gaze stayed on her. You'll have them. I don't want anything from you. You already have something from me. What his voice dropped. My attention, the words moved through the car like a warning. Maya turned to him. I didn't do this for your attention. I know. Do you? Vincent leaned slightly closer. The city lights slid across his face, revealing the exhaustion beneath the control. I know the difference between a woman trying to be noticed and a woman trying not to be destroyed. Maya had no answer for that. The SUV crossed into a quieter part of the city, where the buildings became older and the water smelled closer. Vincent's phone buzzed again. He read the message, and something in his expression hardened. What Maya asked despite herself. Your apartment was just breached. Her blood turned cold. No. My men arrived before they found anything. My mother's medication is there. My cousin stays there sometimes. I need your cousin Lily is with your neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez. She is safe. Maya went still. The panic shifted into fury. You sent men to my home. I sent men to keep your home from becoming a crime scene. You had no right. Vincent's eyes darkened. Correct. The admission stopped her. He looked out at the rain. I have done many things without the right. Tonight I will keep doing them until you are alive long enough to hate me properly. Maya hated that her throat tightened. She hated that he sounded sincere. The SUV stopped at a private elevator entrance beneath a glass tower overlooking Elliott Bay. Vincent stepped out first, scanning the garage before offering his hand. Maya ignored it and climbed out herself. One of his men tried to take her elbow. Vincent's voice cut through the garage. Do not touch her. The man stepped back immediately. Maya looked at Vincent. He did not look at her, but his hand remained near her. Not touching. Close enough to catch her if she fell. The penthouse was nothing like Maya expected. She had imagined gold and arrogance. Instead, Vincent Romano lived in a place made of shadow, steel, and silence. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the storm-black water. The furniture was expensive but sparse. A grand piano sat untouched near the far wall. No family photos. No flowers. No softness. A doctor waited in the living room. I'm not injured, Maya said. Vincent removed his jacket. Check her anyway. I said I'm fine. His eyes met hers, and I said check her. Maya stepped toward him, anger rising again. You don't get to command me just because people are trying to kill us. Vincent's men went very still. No one spoke to him like that. Apparently, no one survived long enough to make it a habit. Vincent studied her for a long moment. Then he turned to the doctor. Ask her permission. The doctor blinked. Of course, Maya hated that the small concession mattered. She allowed the doctor to clean a cut near her shoulder where glass had grazed her skin. Vincent stood by the window, speaking quietly with his security chief, but his gaze kept returning to her reflection. Not staring, watching, as if he had not yet decided whether she was a miracle or a threat. After the doctor left, Maya sat alone at the kitchen island with a cup of tea she had not asked for. Vincent placed a folded black sweater beside her. "You're cold." "I'm angry." "You can be both." She did not touch the sweater. He remained standing across from her, hands resting on the marble counter. "Tell me everything you heard before the recording." Maya told him. The restroom. Celeste's call. Elia's. The fake papers. The toast. Marco. The son. At the word son, Vincent's expression shifted. Not shock. Recognition. "You knew," Maya said. "I knew Celeste had a lover. And you still got engaged. It was not an engagement. It was a treaty. With a diamond, with a blade under it." Maya stared at him. Vincent looked toward the rain-dark glass. "My brother, Antonio, was murdered 9 months ago. The official story was a warehouse robbery. The real story was betrayal. His shares in the Romano Trust went into legal suspension. To unlock them, I needed peace with the D'Amico family, or war would break across 3 cities. So you were going to marry Celeste for money, for control, for time, for the names of the men who killed him." Maya absorbed that. "You used your own engagement as bait." "Yes. And you still didn't see she was planning to kill you?" Vincent's gaze returned to her. No. It was the first vulnerable thing he had said. He did not soften when he said it, did not ask for sympathy. But the truth sat between them, heavy and human. Maya looked down at her tea. "I'm sorry about your brother." Something flickered across his face. "Don't give me kindness yet." "Why?" "Because I will want more of it." The room went quiet. Maya's fingers tightened around the warm mug. Vincent looked away first. His phone rang. He answered. Listened. Then said, "Put it on screen." The penthouse television lit up with news footage from outside Altura. Police lights. Guests wrapped in blankets. Reporters shouting. Then Maya saw herself. A blurry video from someone's phone showed her standing beside the sound panel as Celeste's recording played. The headline beneath it read, "Hostess exposes Mafia engagement murder plot." Maya closed her eyes. "My life is over." Vincent's voice was quiet. "No, it has changed. That is what powerful people call it when ordinary people lose everything." He said nothing. The screen switched to another angle. This one captured Vincent pulling Maya behind him as bullets shattered the glass. The internet would devour it by morning. The humiliated hostess. The betrayed mafia boss. The beautiful fiancé exposed. And somewhere beyond the rain, Celeste D'Amico was still free. Maya stood abruptly. "I need to go." Vincent blocked her path without seeming to move. "No, my mother needs me. Lily needs me. I have bills. I have a life. Not tonight. You can't keep me here." His eyes darkened. "I can." Fear crawled up her spine. He saw it and hated that he saw it. His voice lowered. "I can," he repeated. "But I am asking you not to make me—" Maya stared at him. "That is not asking." "No," he admitted. "It is the closest thing I know how to do." For a moment, neither moved. Then Vincent stepped aside. The path to the elevator was open. Maya looked at it. Then at the windows. The city. The storm. The men with guns outside the door. The phone in her hand containing a recording people were willing to kill for. She hated him. She hated Celeste. She hated that safety had Vincent Romano's face. "I'll stay tonight." she said. Not because you ordered me to. I know. No, you don't. His gaze softened almost imperceptibly. I'm learning. She took the sweater from the counter and walked toward the guest room without thanking him. Behind her, Vincent remained perfectly still. But long after the door closed, he stood in the kitchen, staring at the place where she had been. By morning, Maya Bennett was no longer a hostess. She was a scandal. Her face was everywhere. News anchors called her brave. Comment sections called her desperate. Bloggers invented affairs. Conspiracy channels claimed she was Vincent's secret lover. Celeste's hired rival. An undercover agent. A jealous employee. A paid actress. Greg called at 8. 1, 2, A.M. Maya answered on speaker while Vincent stood across the room, buttoning a black shirt over the edge of a bandage near his ribs. Maya, Greg said, voice tight. The restaurant has to distance itself from the incident. The incident where I prevented a murder, you violated guest privacy and accessed the sound system without authorization. Maya stared at the phone. Vincent slowly looked up. Greg continued. Effective immediately. Your employment is terminated. Maya laughed softly. It was not amusement. It was disbelief breaking into pieces. Of course. Vincent held out his hand for the phone. Maya shook her head. He waited. She handed it to him. Greg, Vincent said calmly. The line went silent. Then Greg stammered. Mr. Romano, you fired the woman who saved my life. I was under pressure from ownership. I am ownership. Another silence. Vincent's voice remained almost gentle. You will send Maya Bennett a written apology. 1 year of salary. And a public statement calling her actions courageous. Then you will resign before lunch. Greg made a sound like air leaving a punctured tire. Vincent ended the call. Maya stared at him. I didn't ask you to do that. I know. Then why did you? Because I insulted you publicly, and others followed my example. The apology was not clean. It was not warm. But it was there. Maya looked away before he could see what it did to her. You still insulted me first. Yes. Why? Vincent stood near the window. Rainlight silvering his profile. Because beautiful traps usually come dressed as helpless warnings. I'm not beautiful. The words came out before she could stop them. Vincent turned. The room changed. His gaze moved over her face. Not down her body. Not with pity. Not with the careless hunger she had learned to avoid from men who thought attention was charity. He looked angry. Not at her. At the sentence. Do not repeat insults just because cruel people trained you to carry them. Maya's throat tightened. I don't need you to flatter me. That was not flattery. What was it? His eyes held hers. A correction. The silence after that felt too intimate. Maya broke it by turning away. His security chief entered before either could speak again. Boss. We found Elias Vale. Vincent's expression closed. The cold man returned. Where, officially, he is a private equity consultant based in Vancouver. Unofficially, he has been moving money for the Sokolov Syndicate. He entered Seattle 3 days ago under a different name. Maya's pulse quickened. The rival mafia family. Vincent looked at her. You learn quickly. I host rich criminals for rent money. I listen. The corner of his mouth almost moved. The security chief continued. There's more. Celeste has a child. 6-year-old boy. Hidden in Montreal under a trust connected to Vale. Maya remembered the recording. Our son gets the inheritance. Vincent's face became unreadable. Celeste planned to put a Sokolov bloodline inside the Romano trust. Through your death. Maya said. Vincent nodded once. The room felt colder. The security chief hesitated. There's also an issue with the recording. Maya stiffened. What issue? We need the original file, not a copy uploaded after broadcast. If this goes before the council, D'Amico will claim manipulation unless we prove chain of custody. Vincent's gaze moved to Maya's phone. Maya held it tighter. No. Maya, he said. No. This phone is the only reason I'm alive. It is also the reason everyone wants you dead. Exactly. His jaw tightened. I can protect you better if my people secure it. I don't know your people. You know me. She looked at him. Do I? A muscle moved in his cheek. No, but you know I need you alive. That's not the same as caring. No, he said quietly. It is not. The honesty hurt more than a lie. Maya placed the phone in her pocket. I keep it. Vincent looked like he wanted to argue. Instead, he said, then you stay close to me. How close his eyes darkened. Close enough that no one can reach you without going through me. That afternoon, Vincent Romano turned Maya Bennett into the most protected woman in Seattle. Not gently, not romantically, strategically. Black SUVs formed a moving wall around the penthouse whenever she traveled. 2 female guards were assigned to her bedroom door. Her mother was moved to a private medical wing under an alias. Lily was picked up from school by a woman named Bianca, who carried a gun under a beige trench coat and spoke to children with surprising softness. Maya hated every bit of it. She also slept for the first time in 30 hours knowing no one could break through her window. Vincent did not hover. That would have been easier to resent. Instead, he controlled the world around her. Doors opened before she touched them. Elevators waited. Men lowered their voices when she entered. Food appeared. Coffee, the way she liked it after he heard her ask once. Her favorite tea arrived from a market across town without comment. It was not softness. It was surveillance disguised as care. On the 3rd night, Maya found him sitting in a black SUV outside her apartment building in the rain. She had insisted on returning to pack her own clothes. Vincent had refused. She had threatened to walk alone. He had said nothing. Then appeared downstairs with a coat and 3 vehicles. Now she stood in her small bedroom, folding sweaters while his men checked the hallway. From her window, she saw him below, alone in the back seat. Watching the entrance, rain slid down the windshield, blurring his face. Maya's chest tightened in a way she did not welcome. She went downstairs. The driver stepped out, but Vincent raised a hand. Stopping him, Maya opened the back door herself and slid inside. The car smelled like leather and storm. You don't have to sit here, she said. Yes, I do. Because I'm evidence. He looked at the building. Because this is the first place they will come if they want to understand your heart. Maya swallowed. My heart isn't here. No, my heart is in a hospital room with my mother pretending she isn't scared. It's in Lily's backpack when she forgets her lunch. It's in every bill I pay late and every apology I make to people who don't deserve one. Vincent turned to her. The intensity of his gaze made her regret speaking so honestly. That is why you did it, he said. What? The recording. You didn't play it because you wanted revenge for being humiliated. Maya looked down. Maybe a little. No. You played it because you know what it feels like when powerful people decide your life is small enough to spend. She blinked hard. Outside. Rain tapped against the roof. Vincent's hand rested on the seat between them. Close to hers but not touching. For one suspended second. Maya thought he might reach for her. He did not. Instead, he said, I should not have said what I said at the table. No. You shouldn't have. I thought you were a weapon. I was. His eyes lifted. Maya gaze. Just not aimed at you. The air changed. A slow tension stretched between them. Dangerous and quiet. Vincent's gaze dropped to her lips for less than a second. Maya's breath caught anyway. Then his phone rang. He answered without looking away. His expression turned lethal. When A paused. Keep her alive until I arrive. Maya already knew. Celeste Vincent ended the call. She walked into a D'Amico safe house with 3 lawyers and a priest. A priest. To claim she is still my fiancée and demand counsel protection, Maya stared. After trying to kill you, powerful families do not ask what happened. They ask what can be proven. My recording proves it. To people with souls. Maya stood outside the D'Amico safe house 2 hours later, wearing Vincent's black coat over her dress and feeling like she had stepped into a painting of wealth and sin. The mansion sat on a hill above the water. All candlelit windows and iron gates. Black cars lined the driveway. Men with guns stood beneath dripping cedar trees. Inside, the marble foyer smelled of roses, cigar smoke, and old money. Vincent walked beside Maya, not touching. Close enough that everyone noticed he was not touching. The restraint felt louder than possession. Celeste waited in the drawing room with her father, Salvatore D'Amico, a silver-haired man whose smile did not reach his eyes. Several older men sat around the room, the council. Maya realized, the kind of men who could order deaths without raising their voices. Celeste wore black lace and no shame. When she saw Maya, hatred flashed across her face. You brought the waitress. Hostess, Vincent said. Maya glanced at him. He did not look at her. But the correction landed like a shield. Salvatore spread his hands. Vincent, this has gone too far. A private dinner. A hysterical employee. A doctored recording. It was not doctored. Maya said. Every man in the room looked at her as if the furniture had spoken. Vincent's gaze sharpened, warning her to be careful. Maya ignored him. Celeste smiled. You poor thing. Do you think he cares what happens to you after this? You are a loose end with a name tag. Vincent stepped forward. Maya caught his sleeve. The room noticed. So did he. His body went still under her touch. Maya released him quickly. I have the original file, she said. And I heard her in the restroom before I recorded. She named Elias Vale. She mentioned Marco. She mentioned the toast. She mentioned the fake transfer. Celeste's smile thinned. Salvatore's eyes moved to Vincent. This proves nothing. Vincent tilted his head. No, but Marco does. The doors opened. Marco was dragged in by 2 Romano guards. Bruised. Shaking. Very much alive. Celeste turned white. Marco looked at her and broke. I didn't know they would shoot up the restaurant, he said. I swear. Boss. Celeste said it would happen outside. Clean. After dessert. The council erupted. Salvatore Rose. Lise. Vincent moved so fast Maya barely saw it. 1 second, he was beside her. The next. He had Salvatore pinned against the mantel, with one hand around his throat. Every gun in the room lifted. Maya's heart slammed against her ribs. Vincent did not raise his voice. You put a murder plan at my table, he said. You used my brother's inheritance, my name, and my dead mother's ring to hide your daughter's treason. Salvatore choked. You need proof. Vincent leaned closer. No, I need permission. Proof is for men who want to sleep afterward. Maya saw then what Vincent truly was. Not a handsome villain from a story. Not a wounded man in an expensive suit. He was violence trained into patience. And he was holding back because her hand had touched his sleeve. The realization frightened her. It also did something worse. It made her trust him. Celeste noticed. Her gaze moved between them, and her expression twisted. Oh, she whispered. That's what this is. Maya stiffened. Vincent released Salvatore and turned. Celeste laughed softly. You humiliated her, Vincent, in public, and she still stands close enough to stop you. Maya felt heat rise in her face. Vincent's eyes went cold. Choose your next words carefully. Celeste stepped closer, eyes shining with venom. You think he is protecting you because you matter? He protects assets, evidence, territory. You are just another thing he refuses to lose. Maya forced herself not to look at Vincent, because the worst part was that Celeste might be right. The council meeting ended without peace. Salvatore denied everything. Celeste was placed under D'Amico protection. Marco disappeared into Romano custody. Elias Vale remained a shadow with money and guns. And Maya left the mansion with a hollow ache beneath her ribs. In the SUV, Vincent said, "Do not listen to her." Maya stared out at the rain. Which part? All of it. Am I an asset? Silence. There it was. The answer before the answer. Maya nodded. Vincent's voice came low. At first, she closed her eyes. At least you're honest. Maya. No. Don't Taz. He did not. That hurt too. The next week became a war fought through rumors. Money and midnight attacks. D'Amico lawyers claimed the recording was fake. Anonymous accounts leaked Maya's address. A gossip site published old photos from her social media and mocked her body beside Celeste's red carpet images. Someone spray-painted liar across her apartment door. Vincent responded with terrifying efficiency. The gossip site vanished from the internet. The landlord received enough money to install new security in the entire building. The men who posted her address were found and persuaded to apologize publicly with shaking voices. Maya did not ask how. She knew enough not to, but each act of protection pulled the invisible thread between her and Vincent tighter. He still did not touch her unless danger demanded it. That restraint became its own intimacy. His hand at her lower back when guiding her through crowds. Gone before she could lean into it. His body angled between her and cameras. His gaze finding hers across rooms full of criminals. His voice. Quiet at midnight outside her door. Did you eat? One night in the penthouse kitchen. Maya found him standing alone with his shirt sleeves rolled up, staring at a file on the counter. Inside were photographs of Antonio Romano, Vincent's younger brother. He looked warmer than Vincent. Smiling, arm around a woman. Alive in every picture. Maya should have left. Instead, she said, "You miss him." Vincent did not turn. Yes. How did he die? Vincent's fingers rested on the edge of the photograph. He trusted a man I told him not to trust. Marco, no. Me. Maya stepped closer. Vincent laughed softly. Without humor. I put him in charge of the port transfer because I wanted him to feel respected. He wanted more than being my little brother. I gave him responsibility before he was ready. Someone used him, then killed him. That isn't your fault. His eyes lifted to hers. Do not absolve monsters. Maya, it makes them hungry. You're not a monster. You saw me with Salvatore. I saw you stop because of you. The words shook her. Vincent looked at her then. Fully. No armor in his eyes. Only exhaustion. Rage. And something dangerously close to need. I did not know your voice would matter to me, he said. At first, you were proof. Then you were a problem. Then you were the only honest person in every room I entered. Maya's breath caught. Vincent? He stepped closer, slowly, giving her time to move away. She did not. The kitchen light glowed against the marble. Rain whispered against the windows, his hand lifted toward her face, stopping just before his fingers touched her cheek. Almost. Not yet. You should be afraid of me, he said. I am. His eyes darkened. And still, And still, for one breath, they stood on the edge of something neither could name. Then the penthouse alarm screamed. The windows went black as security shutters dropped. Vincent's hand closed around Maya's wrist, pulling her behind him. Safe room. Now, smoke filled the hallway before they reached it. His own security system had been breached. Hidden surveillance cameras flickered across the walls, showing men in tactical gear moving through the lower floors. Someone had known the codes. Someone inside. Bianca appeared with a gun. Boss. East stairwell compromised. Vincent pushed Maya toward the safe room door. She stopped. Where's Lily? At the medical wing. Bianca said, secure. Maya exhaled. Then she heard a voice over the hacked intercom. Celeste. Vincent. Darling, you stole my witness. I'm stealing your peace. The hallway lights flickered. Vincent's expression became murder. Celeste continued. Maya, if you're listening, ask him why Antonio really died. Ask him what happens to women who stand too close to Romano men. Maya looked at Vincent. Something in his face changed. Pain. Celeste laughed through the speakers. Did he tell you Antonio had a witness too? A woman who tried to warn him. Vincent didn't believe her either. Maya went cold. Vincent said, inside. Now. No. What does she mean? The door exploded inward at the end of the hall. Vincent shoved Maya behind him as gunfire tore through the smoke. He fought like a man made of wrath. His men closed around them. Bianca dragged Maya toward the safe room. But Maya's eyes stayed on Vincent. A bullet struck the wall beside him. He did not flinch. He was terrifying. He was beautiful. He was lost. When the attack ended, 3 intruders were captured and 1 name surfaced. Dominic Rages, Vincent's oldest advisor. The man who had comforted him after Antonio's death. The man who controlled the security codes. The man standing beside the Romano family for 20 years. Betrayal did not arrive, shouting. Sometimes it sat at the dinner table and passed the salt. Vincent found Dominic in the underground garage, trying to leave through a service exit. Maya should not have followed, but Celeste's words had lodged in her chest. A woman who tried to warn him. Vincent's men held Dominic on his knees between 2 SUVs. Rain blew into the garage. Headlights cut through the mist. Vincent stood before him, face carved from stone. Tell me about the woman, Vincent said. Dominic's mouth bled when he smiled. Which one? Vincent crouched. Maya had never seen a room become afraid of silence before. Dominic swallowed. Antonio's assistant. She came to you with concerns about the port files. You dismissed her. She went to Antonio. He believed her. That got him killed. Vincent did not move. Maya felt the words hit him. Dominic continued. Cruel now because he had nothing left. You did it again. Vincent. Another ordinary woman. Another warning. Another table where you were too proud to listen. Maya's heart broke in a place she had not given permission. Vincent stood. For one terrifying second. Maya thought he would kill Dominic with his bare hands. Then he turned away. Take him. His men dragged Dominic into the dark. Vincent stood alone in the headlights. Maya approached carefully. Vincent, do not. She stopped. His voice was raw. He was right. No. Vincent turned on her. I humiliated you for doing the same thing she did. I heard warning and called it fantasy. If you had died tonight, it would have been because I learned nothing from my brother's grave. Maya stepped closer. I didn't die. You could have, but I didn't. His eyes shone with something he would never allow to fall. I cannot be the reason another woman bleeds for my arrogance. Maya's voice softened. Then don't be. He looked at her. Let me choose what risks I take. She said, let me be more than evidence, more than an asset. More than someone you hide in rooms and move around like a fragile thing. You are not fragile. No. But I am tired of men proving that by hurting me first. Vincent closed his eyes. When he opened them, something had changed. Not softened. Deepened. I don't know how to love without making it look like control. Maya's pulse stumbled. Who said anything about love? His gaze held hers. Dark and unflinching. I did not say it. I confessed the danger of it. The garage seemed to tilt around her. Before she could answer, Bianca ran in. Boss. Celeste has Lily. Maya's world stopped. The message came with a video. Lily sat in a candlelit chapel, terrified but unharmed, clutching her backpack. Celeste stood behind her with one hand on the child's shoulder. Maya made a sound she did not recognize. Vincent took the phone, and every trace of emotion disappeared from his face. Celeste smiled into the camera. Maya, bring the original recording to St. 2. Aurelia's Chapel by midnight. Come alone. Or the little girl learns what happens when hostesses play heroines. The video ended. Maya lunged for the door. Vincent caught her. Let go of me, no. She has Lily. And if you go alone, she will have you both. Maya shoved against his chest. This is my fault. Vincent's hands closed around her arms. Firm but careful. Look at me. She struggled. Maya. Look at me. She did. His voice dropped into something absolute. I will get her back. You can't promise that. Yes. I can. Because you're powerful, no. His eyes burned into hers. Because she matters to you. That broke her. A sob escaped before she could swallow it. Vincent pulled her against him. This time, he did not stop himself. His arms closed around her, hard and protective, as if he could hold her together by force. Maya pressed her face into his chest and hated how safe it felt. Hated how badly she needed one moment to fall apart. He lowered his mouth near her hair. I am going to bring that child home, he said. Then I am going to end everyone who made you cry tonight. Maya trembled. Vincent, I know, he said quietly. You don't want violence. She looked up at him. No, I want her alive. His gaze darkened. Then we understand each other. Steen. Aurelia's chapel sat abandoned near the foggy harbor. Its stained glass, boarded. Its stone walls blackened by years of salt and rain. Once, it had hosted weddings for fishermen and dock workers. Now it stood between warehouses controlled by men who did not believe in God but still feared judgment. Maya arrived at midnight wearing a wire beneath Vincent's coat and carrying a phone that no longer held the only copy of the recording. Vincent had argued. Maya had argued harder. I'm not bait, she told him. No, he said. You are the person she wants. Then use that. He hated it. She saw it in the tension of his jaw. The way he paced the penthouse like a caged wolf. The way he almost touched her face before pulling back. Finally, he placed a small black earpiece in her palm. If anything feels wrong, everything feels wrong. His eyes locked on hers. Say my name. She tried to smile. That's your plan. His voice was low. That is my weakness. Now, inside the chapel. Maya walked between broken pews while rain battered the roof. Celeste waited at the altar in a white coat, looking like a bride haunting her own funeral. Lily sat on the steps nearby, hands tied loosely, face tear-streaked. Maya, Lily cried. Maya forced herself not to run. I'm here. Baby. Celeste tilted her head. How touching. The big-hearted nobody and the borrowed child. Maya's hands shook, but her voice did not. Let her go. Recording first. Maya held up her phone. Celeste smiled. You know, I almost admire you. You were humiliated by him, and now you're risking your life for him. I'm risking my life for her. Celeste's eyes sharpened. Still lying to yourself. I saw the way he looked at you, like he had discovered a wound he wanted to own. Maya moved closer. You don't know anything about him. I know everything about men like Vincent. They confuse protection with devotion. They build cages and call them homes. Maya thought of Vincent outside her apartment in the rain. Vincent correcting Celeste when she called her a waitress. Vincent stopping his own rage because her hand touched his sleeve. Vincent admitting he did not know how to love without control. Maybe. Maya said, but cages can open. Celeste's face twisted. You think you changed him? No. Maya looked toward Lily. I think he decided to change before it cost him someone else. For the first time, Celeste looked uncertain. Then a slow clap echoed from the side door. Elias Vale stepped into the chapel with 6 armed men. He was handsome in a polished, empty way, wearing a gray coat and a smile that never reached his eyes. Beautiful, he said. Really? But we're out of time. Celeste stiffened. Maya saw it. Whatever Celeste thought she controlled, Elias controlled more. Where is the original? Elias asked. Maya held up the phone. He nodded to one of his men. The man grabbed Lily. Maya's control cracked. No, in her ear. Vincent's voice whispered. Steady. The sound nearly broke her. Elias smiled. Hand it over. Miss Bennett. Maya stepped forward. Then she said clearly, Vincent. The chapel doors exploded open. Black SUVs flooded the broken courtyard with headlights. Armed Romano men stormed through the entrances. Gunfire cracked through the chapel. Controlled and terrifying, Maya dropped to the floor. Crawling toward Lily as Vincent appeared through smoke and rain like something carved out of vengeance. He did not look at Celeste. He did not look at Elias. He looked for Maya. Their eyes met across the chaos. For one impossible second, everything slowed. Then Elias grabbed Maya from behind. Cold metal pressed against her throat. Vincent stopped. The entire chapel seemed to freeze around his stillness. Elias dragged Maya upright, using her body as a shield. Drop your weapon, Romano. Vincent held his gun low. His eyes were on Maya's face. Not the blade. Not Elias. Her. Maya. He said calmly. Breathe. She did. Barely. Celeste stood near the altar, watching with wild eyes as her plan collapsed around her. Elias snarled. Drop it. Vincent lowered his gun to the floor. Maya's heart clenched. He would kill cities for control, but he disarmed for her. Elias laughed. There he is. The great Vincent Romano brought to his knees by a hostess. Vincent's gaze did not move. No, he said softly. By the woman who saved my life when I did not deserve it. Maya's eyes burned. Elias tightened his grip. Vincent's voice lowered. You harm her, and there will be no corner of this earth where your son can carry your name safely. Celeste gasped. Elias looked at her. That split second was enough. Maya slammed her heel down onto his foot and threw her head back. Vincent moved before Elias could recover. A shot cracked. The blade fell. Vincent caught Maya as she stumbled forward, pulling her behind him with one arm while his men overwhelmed Elias. Celeste screamed. Not in fear, in rage. She grabbed a fallen gun and aimed at Maya. Vincent turned. Maya saw the shot before it happened. She shoved him. The bullet struck the stone column beside them, exploding dust across her face. The impact knocked Maya backward down the chapel steps. Her head hit the edge of a pew, and the world flashed white. She heard Vincent say her name. Not calmly, not controlled, terrified. When Maya opened her eyes, He was kneeling beside her in the ruined chapel, his hands hovering over her as if touching her wrong might shatter him. "Maya," he said, "stay with me." She blinked up at him. "You're yelling." "I am not. You are." Emotionally, a broken sound left him. Almost a laugh. Almost a sob. Behind him, Celeste was being restrained. Elias was on the ground. Lily was wrapped in Bianca's coat, crying but safe. "Lily," Maya whispered. "She is safe. Look at me." Maya tried to turn her head. Vincent gently stopped her. "Look at me." "Maya." His face blurred. "You dropped your gun," she whispered. "Yes." For me, his jaw trembled. "For you? That was stupid." "Yes. Very un-Mafia Boss of you." His hand finally touched her cheek. Warm. Careful. Shaking. "I have been stupid since the moment you played that recording." Maya closed her eyes. "Don't let Celeste hurt Lily. No one will ever touch what you love again." She believed him. That scared her more than the gunfire. The council saw everything. That was Vincent's final move. Hidden cameras in the chapel. Audio routed to every elder who had doubted Maya. Celeste's confession. Elias's threat. The mention of the secret son. The attempt to use Lily. All of it broadcast to the men who controlled the balance between families. Bedown. The D'Amico alliance was dead. Salvatore D'Amico surrendered 3 ports, 2 judges, and every false claim to the Romano trust to keep his bloodline alive. Elias Vale disappeared into a federal black site after Vincent allowed the authorities to take him, which somehow frightened everyone more than if Vincent had handled it privately. Celeste was arrested in a white coat stained with chapel dust, screaming that Vincent would never love anyone but power. Vincent did not answer her. He was in the ambulance with Maya, holding her hand. She had a concussion, bruised ribs, and a cut near her temple that required stitches. She complained about all of it. Vincent sat beside her hospital bed in a private wing overlooking the water, refusing to leave for 36 hours. On the second morning, Maya woke to find him asleep in a chair, still wearing yesterday's black shirt, his hand wrapped around hers. For once, he looked human. Not harmless, never harmless, but human. Maya watched him in the pale morning light and understood something that frightened her. Vincent Romano had not become gentle. He had become careful with her. There was a difference, and somehow, that difference mattered more. When he woke, his eyes found hers instantly. "You're awake. You look terrible. You hit your head and became cruel." "I've always been cruel. You were just too suspicious to notice." His mouth curved faintly. Then the smile faded. "I need to say something before you forgive me too easily." "I haven't forgiven you easily." "Good." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, still holding her hand. "At that table, I made you small because I was afraid of being fooled. I let my pride speak before my judgment. I gave everyone in that room permission to laugh at you." Maya's throat tightened. Vincent's voice remained steady, but his eyes did not. "You saved my life anyway. Then you saved my family. Then you risked yourself for a child who was not yours, because love, to you, is action. I do not know if I deserve to stand near that kind of heart." Maya looked down at their joined hands. "What are you asking me?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Nothing." She looked up. That surprised her. Vincent's thumb brushed once over her knuckles. "I have taken enough from you. Your peace, your privacy, your old life. I will not take your choice." Maya searched his face. "And what do you want?" His eyes darkened with the force of everything he was holding back. "You." The word landed between them. Simple and devastating. Not as evidence, Not as protection, not as territory, not because the world thinks you belong to me. His voice dropped. I want you because every room feels false when you are not in it. Maya's eyes burned. You humiliated me the first night we met. Yes. You're dangerous. Yes. You control too much. I am trying to learn where protection ends and fear begins. She breathed out slowly. And if I say no, his jaw tightened, but his voice remained calm. Then I will make sure you are safe from a distance. That would hurt you. Yes. But you would do it, yes. Maya studied him, the feared mafia boss. The man who could break enemies without blinking. The man who had dropped his weapon because Elias held a knife to her throat. The man who had called her a correction, not a fantasy. She squeezed his hand. I don't know how to belong in your world. Vincent leaned closer. Then we build a door between yours and mine. You decide when to open it. That was the moment Maya began to forgive him. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But honestly, 3 months later, Altura reopened under a new name. Bennett House. Vincent had bought the building after the scandal. But Maya refused to let him hand it to her like a trophy. So he created an employee-owned trust with her as managing director. Greg's old office converted into a staff lounge with real chairs, real breaks, and uniforms designed for bodies that existed outside sample sizes. The rooftop looked different now. Still luxurious. Still high above Seattle. Still full of candlelight and rain-glass beauty. But warmer. The orchids were gone, replaced with deep red roses and white lilies. The sound system had been upgraded. Maya joked that she wanted a panic button labeled "Play Recording" in gold lettering. Vincent did not laugh. He installed 3. On opening night, Maya stood near the host station, wearing a dark emerald dress that fit her perfectly because she had chosen it herself. Her name tag was gone. She did not need one anymore. Guests arrived carefully now. People spoke to the staff with respect. Fear helped. So did Maya. Near midnight, she stepped out onto the terrace for air. Seattle spread beneath her. Rain soft and glittering. The same city, a different life. Vincent found her there. He wore black. Of course. He always did. But tonight he had left the bodyguards inside. A small mercy. A deliberate one. You disappeared. He said. I stepped outside. That is a form of disappearing. She looked at him. You're getting better at not sounding like a kidnapper. I practice. She smiled despite herself. He stood beside her. Close but not touching. Always letting her choose the final inch. Below. Headlights moved through wet streets. Above. Clouds covered the moon. The terrace heaters glowed amber around them. Vincent reached into his coat. Maya lifted an eyebrow. If that is a diamond, I'm pushing you off this roof. He paused. Then slowly removed a small velvet box. Maya stared. Vincent. It is not a ring. She narrowed her eyes. He opened it. Inside was a small silver key. To what? The private elevator. Maya looked up. His face was serious. You once told me your heart was in the places where people needed you. I will not ask to become that place by force. He held the box toward her. But if someday you want to come upstairs without being escorted, question. Protected. Or commanded. This opens the door. Maya looked at the key. Then at him. No cadge. No cadge. No ownership. His eyes held hers. No ownership. No dramatic mafia speech about how I'm yours. A faint shadow of amusement touched his mouth. I deleted that part. Maya laughed softly. But her eyes blurred. Vincent's expression changed immediately. Did I do wrong? No. She whispered. That's the problem. He stepped closer, stopping just before their bodies touched. Maya, she loved how he said her name now. Not like evidence. Not like a warning. Like a vow he was still afraid to make too loudly. She took the key from the box. Vincent exhaled, almost imperceptibly. Then Maya reached for his hand. His fingers closed around hers with careful reverence. "You can kiss me now," she said. For the first time since she had known him, Vincent Romano looked shaken. "Are you sure?" Maya smiled through tears. "I'm choosing it." That was all he needed. He bent slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She did not. His mouth touched hers softly at first, restrained and almost disbelieving. Then her hand tightened around his, and something in him broke open. The kiss deepened. Not gentle exactly. Nothing about Vincent was gentle, but devoted, controlled fire, dangerous tenderness. A man who had built his life like a fortress, learning, one breath at a time, how to open a door. Rain whispered against the glass behind them. Inside, Bennett House glowed with music and candlelight. Below, black SUVs waited in the street like shadows. And above the city, the woman everyone had underestimated kissed. The man who had once humiliated her. Not because he had saved her. Not because he was powerful. Not because his world had swallowed hers, but because when the moment came to choose between possession and love, Vincent Romano had finally lowered his weapon. Maya pulled back just enough to look at him. "You still owe me something," she whispered. His eyes darkened. "Name it." She touched his jaw. "Dance with me." In front of everyone. A flicker of fear crossed his face. So quick, anyone else would have missed it. Not fear of enemies. Fear of being seen. Maya smiled. Dangerous mafia boss scared of a dance floor. Vincent looked through the glass at the crowded restaurant. The watching faces. The world that had first seen him break her and would now see him honor her. Then he offered his hand. "For you," he said, "I will survive it." Maya placed her hand in his. Together, they walked back into the light. The room quieted as Vincent Romano led Maya Bennett to the center of the rooftop restaurant. No announcement. No speech. No performance. Just a man feared by everyone holding one woman, as if the entire city had narrowed down to the space between their hearts. The music began slowly. Vincent's hand settled at her waist. Respectful and steady, Maya rested her palm against his shoulder. Feeling the strength there, the danger, the restraint. Guests stared. Staff smiled. Bianca wiped one eye and pretended she had not. Maya looked up at Vincent. Everyone is watching. His gaze stayed on hers. Let them. And under the chandeliers, above the rain-soaked city. The mafia boss, who had once mistaken her courage for fantasy, danced with the woman who had exposed his enemies, saved his life, and taught him that devotion was not possession. It was choice. It was trust. It was lowering the gun. It was opening the door. And when the music ended, Vincent did not release her right away. He leaned close. His voice for her alone. The first night. "I told you not to bring fantasies to my table." Maya's breath caught. His thumb brushed lightly over her hand. "I was wrong." She looked into his eyes. Vincent Romano smiled faintly. Dangerously. Beautifully. Bring them all. Outside, the rain kept falling. Inside, Maya laughed through tears. And for the first time in his life, Vincent Romano did not feel like a king guarding an empire. He felt like a man standing at the edge of a future he had not earned yet, but would spend the rest of his life becoming worthy of.